All righty, we are now streaming live on YouTube. Today is May the 7th, 2025. I am Judge Case Johnson. When I call your case, please make your announcements. Ronald Baker.
Your Honor, I believe that's Mr. Lewis's case. And
Hold on, he's still in the breakout room. Can someone let him know that he needs to come out so he can make announcements on his cases?
Judge, I told him you were calling the calendar when he called me.
Gotcha.
and Your Honor, we can't see you.
Oh, you can't? Now you can. All right, do we have Attorney Lewis?
He's on, Judge.
All right. All right, so Baker, Ronald Baker.
No, we just have to,
Do something new.
Who has Baker?
Judge,
Mr. Lewis.
are you able to hear me, Judge?
I am.
Okay, prelim, please.
It's gonna be a hearing. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Officer logged on.
What about Chandler? Hunter Chandler?
Chandler is a prelim as well, Judge.
They will be ready.
What about Deontay Chester is continued to 528. That's Attorney Rogers. Jason Curry.
Officers logged on, stage ready.
Judge, that was the bond waiver signed on Monday morning by Judge Bridgewater.
Your Honor, I hear a lot. I couldn't quite hear Ms. Woolworth. Something.
Yes, somebody has a lot of feedback.
Major Norwood, can you please mute your device? Thank you.
And Deputy Hanks, you're free to go. I think the announcement was consent bond.
That was signed on Monday morning by Judge Bridgewater.
Okay. Maurice Daniel, Attorney Bowles. I don't think he's come back. I'm going to continue that one to 528. That's going to be attorney conflict. Broderick Davis.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
That's a prelim, Judge.
Your Honor, state will be asking for a reset in this one. The officer has filed sick leave.
When will he return?
It was just for today, Your Honor. So any date should work.
Has this case been on the calendar before?
Yes, Judge. Continued by the state on 416 for absent witness.
What was was this the same officer?
It would have been, Your Honor.
Move to dismiss.
Your Honor, I understand that it may have been the officer. Last, I'm trying to pull the packet off just so I can see my notes on it. However, state would respectfully request a one more time.
When was he put in jail? When was he arrested?
I don't have that, Judge. I'm sorry.
You know, the original incident date, it looks like it was in December, but it doesn't appear the warrants were taken out until February. So I'm not sure when he actually made it to the jail. His bond and first appearance was signed on March 16th. So either the 15th or the 16th or thereabouts, I would imagine.
March. Your Honor, he got arrested in March.
March.
Somewhere between the 15th and the 16th, Your Honor.
All right, I'm gonna continue one last time, but if he doesn't appear next, I'm gonna put it on the 28th. If he doesn't appear, this case will be dismissed.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Gilliam, that is a continuance. That's Joel Gilliam is a continuance to 528. Gully, Maya Gully, that's gonna be a waiver. Markel Harrison,
And I believe something happened with that.
The defendant has bonded out, Your Honor.
okay, it's out to bond. Okay.
Yes,
Zachary Jones, it's gonna be a hearing.
officers logged on.
Ready? Khalik McMurrin is a consent bond.
Yes.
Richardson, Reynold Richardson is a consent bond previously done. Lamonta Thomas,
Is a prelim judge in your major zone for that case.
State's ready.
all right.
Officer Matterer, you're excused, if you can hear me. Or is he gone already?
Florian Thornton, that's gonna be continued to 528. Thurston King, David, that's gonna be a hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Amarian Williams,
I believe something happened with that one too.
Consent bond was signed on 4/25, the private attorney.
okay, we already have a bond waiver.
Yes,
And what attorney was that? Ms. Davis
David Jones,
Jones, okay. All righty, and Mr. Woods, Deontay Woods, it's a bond waiver.
yes,
All right,
ma'am.
that concludes the
There is one more, Your Honor.
call of the calendar. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with,
Your Honor, I'm sorry. There is actually one more. Jay Brown, does the court have that one?
Jay Brown.
Yeah, Judge. Yeah, you skipped her, Judge, but it's okay. I need to convey to her the state's last offer, Judge, but we can do it after that prelim you're about to do.
Tell me the name again. I didn't hear it.
Brown. Brown is the
That's
last
Brown?
name. Yes, ma'am. Jade is the first name.
Okay, I don't have it on my calendar. Okay, but if y'all have it worked out, you said?
No, ma'am. I just need to convey it. Once I convey the offer to her, it should be acceptable.
Okay,
But I need to convey it first.
well, y'all let me know.
Will do.
Jay Brown.
he was an add-on from last week, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
So the jail may not have her. I
They
don't know.
do have.
Okay,
They
good.
do have. I've spoken with her, but I've gotten an offer from the prosecutor.
Awesome.
Mhm.
All righty. So if you would bring forward Mr. Thurston, please. If you can have your deputy. Okay, your deputy to start.
Officer Paul, can you turn on your audio and your video? State's ready, Your Honor.
Just waiting for the inmate to come forward. All right, Mrs. Thurston, we are about to start your preliminary hearing. All right, now calling the matter of State of Georgia versus, I have Thurston King Lamel David. I'm not sure of that order, but Thurston King Lamel David, charged in warrant number 2025 WA 75084, tampering with evidence. 2025 WA 75085, aggravated assault. 2025 WA 75086, discharge of a firearm near a freeway. 2025 WA 75091, aggravated assault. 2025 WA 75092, aggravated assault. 2025 WA 75094, criminal damage in the second degree. 2025 WA 75095, criminal damage in the second degree. Representing the state is ADA Thomas. Representing the defendant is Attorney Max Short. ADA Thomas, your witness.
Officer Paul, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you shall give before the court today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
Put your hand down, state your name for the record.
I'm Robert Paul,
And how are you employed?
Clayton County Police Department.
And were you so employed on or about April the 10th of 2025?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that date, were you assigned to investigate a matter that occurred at Winding Way Lane at Washington Circle?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that within the confines of the city of Jonesboro, Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
And did that matter involve David Thurston King Lemuel?
Yes, ma'am.
And what account occurred on that date involving Mr. Lemuel at that location?
Say that again.
What occurred on April the 10th involving Mr. King Lemuel at that location?
A drive-by shooting.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Your Honor. Just for the record, if I could just help the record here. My client's, and I know it's no one's fault. My client's name is King Thurston, just for the record. So his last name is Thurston.
So his last name is Thurston, and his first name is King?
Yes, it's King Lemuel Thurston.
Where's the David part? That's not a part
I
of
believe that's a middle name.
it.
So his
the
last name is Thurston, and his first name is King.
Yes. Yes,
Thank
Your
you
Honor.
for clarifying that.
I just figured that would make the record a lot easier.
Yes, appreciate that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So often you were saying,
It was I was dispatched to a drive-by shooting.
and that's what happened at Winding Way in Washington?
Yes.
Now, when you arrived on the scene, did you have occasion to speak with anyone?
Yes, the victim one of the victims on the report.
Do you recall which victim?
Oh, I don't remember his name.
What were you advised as to what happened?
When I arrived on scene, the victim, he was the younger one, I believe. He had a cut on his hand from the broken glass after receiving fire. So I had Fireside, come check him out. But
Who
that's
was Fireside?
Clayton County Fireside.
Is that the ambulance?
Yes, ma'am.
EMTs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you said this person you spoke to had broken glass?
He had got a cut from the broken glass that came off the vehicle
Okay, how'd the glass get broke?
from receiving fire.
Did you observe this vehicle?
Yes, I observed the vehicle.
What did you see?
Shattered glass from the rear right and the rear left of the vehicle, or should I say the back passenger and the back driver side of the vehicle, and bullet holes. I believe 5 bullet holes, 3 on the passenger side, 2 on the rear, on the back car.
Were the holes in the body of the car?
Yes, the 5 bullet holes were in the body of the car.
And the glass you're talking about, was that the windows of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, where was this person that you spoke to? Where was he sitting in the car?
I'm not too. I want to say the back driver's side, but I'm not too sure.
Okay. Now, did you speak to the owner of the car?
Yes.
Do you know who that person is?
Not I can't remember.
Do you have your incident report handy?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, may he be allowed to refresh his recollection?
Yes.
No objection.
All right. Thank you.
Let me know when you're ready, officer.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Who's the owner of the vehicle?
Bobby Pittman.
Did Mr. Pittman, was he able to tell you anything about what happened?
No, he wasn't the one driving.
Okay. Did he give anyone permission to shoot up his car?
No, ma'am.
Was he able to give you an approximate value of the damage to his car?
Uh, he wasn't able to give an approximate, but he wasn't able to give it exact, but he gave me something. I just can't remember. I gotta check my report again for the damage that I put on there.
Okay. Young Mayhew?
Refresh his recollection. Yes, officer, you may.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. How much was the damage?
Told me 6,000.
Now, were other things damaged?
Um, I can only from what I knew and what he knew at the time, because the vehicle was held for CSI to come look at it, is the body of the car and the body of the car, because the bullets went through the vehicle, and then the windows.
Okay. And when I say other things, I'm sorry, I wasn't specific enough. What the car was shot up. Did anything else receive damage from the bullets? Any other
Oh,
cars, any other homes, anything like
yes. In the Winding Way Lane intersection with, I forgot the intersection, but a bullet struck a nearby home. I don't remember the address, but it broke a window. It didn't go through, but it broke a window.
And was that victim able to give you an estimated damage to her home?
Yes, that was on another officer did that report. I can access it though to find it.
Okay. You don't have any recollection of what she said?
No.
Okay. Would it be over 500?
Well, yes, it'll be over 500. That's why I put criminal damage.
Okay. Now, moving back, did you ever speak? How did King Thurston get involved in this?
So from all the information I got when I was on the call, the victim said something was going on between um I believe his name was like Javian. I can't remember. That's one of the victim's name, I believe. And he said something between those two, the King and the victim. So he came over their house with
Okay.
the
Now, I
truck.
hate to stop you. Okay. The victim is someone you know of as Javion.
I believe the victim that had the cut on his hand. I think from when I seen it on the report, I think it's Javian.
Okay. And Javion had something to do with Mr. Thurston.
Yes.
Now, what happened between Javion and Mr. Thurston?
Now that I do not remember, but I do know that it led him to come over. It led King to come over their house the day prior, just honking the horn.
And does King Thurston live in that area or on that street?
No.
So he came to the area.
Yes.
Was he still there when you got there?
No.
Okay. Did anybody in law enforcement have conversation with him?
I didn't, but yes, a law enforcement officer did finally get in contact with him.
And as a result of that conversation, do you know if he said anything regarding this incident?
Um, I only know what he told me, what he spontaneously uttered in the car when I was transporting him.
And that's Mr. Thurston we're talking about?
Yes.
What did he tell you in the car?
He said the only reason he shot back was because they shot at him first.
So he admitted shooting?
Yes.
Okay. And when he said they, who was he talking about?
He said they because he didn't know for sure which one. I remember him saying that he thought it was Javian, but he said he wasn't too sure because they followed him down the road on Winding Way Lane, stopped their vehicle next to him, and then he believed he saw one of them open the door with a gun in their hand, and they shot at him, so he shot back and sped off. That's what he said in the car.
What did the victim say?
The victims all victims said that they don't remember anyone shooting, nor do they remember anyone having a gun in the car.
In which car?
The red, I believe it's the red Kia Sportage, I believe.
That's the car that was shot up that
Yes.
belonged to Mr. Pittman?
Yes, and reading the supplemental of another officers, I found out that King's vehicle also had a bullet hole, but I don't know I don't know where because I didn't do that report. I just read it. I just read a little bit of it.
Okay. So you got 3 counts of aggravated assault against this gentleman, correct?
Yes.
Who were you able to make a determination of who the victims were on these counts of aggravated assault?
So, in my report, I put the victims as everyone but Bobby. I know JVN and the other 2. I can't remember the other 2. I put them as victims because he admitted to shooting, but I was unable to determine. So all the victims said they didn't shoot, but he admitted to shooting. So I put them as victims, but I was unable to determine if they were lying or not. CSI did a supplement to do gun residue and stuff, but I never got any of that back.
Okay, now these 3 victims we're talking about, were they all in the car, or was someone in the home that also received gunfire?
No, these 3 victims on my report, they were all in a car.
So that would be the Javion person and 2 other people?
Yes. I can go to my report to find them for you.
Please, Your Honor, may he be allowed to refresh his recollection?
Yes.
Okay, I'm ready.
And also, Your Honor, before you come back, there was a home that was damaged, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you look and get the name of that person, or do you recall that person's name?
I can go to the supplement, the associated case that the other officer did on the home to get it.
Your Honor, can he just do all this at one time and hopefully we won't have to backtrack no more?
Yes, officer, when you know you have court and you need to review your reports prior to court. We shouldn't have to keep stopping for you to review your report.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, let me know when you're ready.
I'm on my phone. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Now, who were the other 2 victims in the car?
The other 2 victims in the car was Maisha Williams and Erica Williams.
Okay. And there was go ahead.
And Javian is actually Javien, not Javion.
Okay. Do you recall his last name?
Davis.
Okay,
Davis.
So those are the 3 people in the car, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the person whose home was damaged, do you recall her name?
Her name is Shannon Yvette.
And she was the one that indicated that it would be over $500 to repair her home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we've already discussed Mr. Pittman, who owned the vehicle that Javian, Erica, and Maisha were in, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know these conversations we've been talking about, were they recorded in any type of way?
It should be recorded on my body camera.
Excuse me?
It's recorded on my body camera.
And I believe you say some of these conversations were by other members of law enforcement.
Yes, ma'am.
Were they equipped with body cam?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know what happened to all this body cam footage?
They were saved.
They were saved to, I guess, was it Clayton County PD,
Yes.
to the server?
I believe, I just know the way we save it is just through Rocket. I don't know where it goes after that.
Okay, but you know it was saved.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were any pictures or anything taken of the damage to the cars and to the home?
Yes, I put some of them on the report, but CSI took the actual pictures.
Okay. You were there when that was done, so you saw that happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the conversation that you mentioned earlier regarding Mr. Thurston in the car, do you know if that was captured on body cam in any kind of way?
Car camera and body camera.
Okay. Do you know if any ring camera or anything like that was available?
No, nobody nearby had the footage of the incident.
Do you know if the weapon was recovered?
The weapon that was okay, so this is why I put in my report that I was unable to determine if, because the victim was saying they didn't shoot, but King told me he did, but they shot back. King, he shot a 40 caliber. I also found a 9mm on the victim's car, so I wasn't able to prove that they shot it, but I did take I believe it was Erica's gun, which matched the mag that I found on the floor at the incident location.
So at least one of the victims also had a weapon herself?
That's what I believe after investigating, but they all were saying they didn't. But the magazine matched the weapon that I took and put into evidence.
The weapon that you said that Erica had, where did you recover that from her, or where did you find that?
I recovered that from her. She said it was in the house the whole time.
Okay, and is that where you found it, inside of the home?
Yeah, she brought it out.
Okay.
But
the weapon that Mr. Thurston had, what happened to it?
He disposed of it. He admitted to getting rid of it in I believe he said a swamp or a sewer, something like that.
So he said he threw it away?
Yes.
But he admitted having it?
Yes.
And all of this happened not inside of a house, but right out there on the street?
I can't remember the road, the intersection, but Winding Way Lane was one of the roads. It's another road that makes the intersection.
But it was right there on the street?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But I know the house that it was in front of.
Okay.
Or near.
And all of this arose from a dispute between Mr. Thurston and JB and Davis? Is that your understanding?
Yes.
And the other persons were not party to that dispute?
I just know that it was between them, JVN and King.
Okay, so you know that for sure?
Yes, ma'am.
So Miss Barkley, who was in her house, doesn't involve her?
You said Miss who?
Miss, was it Shannon?
Oh, no, Shannon, she's just her house was hit with the crossfire.
That's what I'm saying. That's what happened. She didn't have nothing to do with it otherwise.
No, ma'am.
Okay. And I believe that's all I have reserved right for redirect.
All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Good morning, Officer Paul.
Good morning.
As I understand it, and I missed one of the names, was there 3 or 4 people in the car where we're saying labeling them victims in that car? Were there 3 or 4?
It was JBN. It was 3.
Javion and 2 females?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying that Bobby, you mentioned a Bobby,
Mm-hmm.
owner of the car. He was not there?
No, he was home.
He was home. What is his home right by the scene?
No,
Okay. So when you arrived, there was three people there.
when I arrived, they were so after the incident happened, they
Mm.
went around the block and went back home. And then that's where we arrived. That's when they all were speaking with us. Bobby was just in the background because he had nothing to do with it. It was just his vehicle.
So, well, let's be clear. According to the victims
Hmm.
who may have lied to you,
Hmm.
there was only three people in the car.
There was only 3 people in the car. Yes.
According to the victims. According to who we're saying the victims are.
Yes.
Okay. But we don't have any video or anything like that that shows actually how many people were in the car.
No, we just only have a video showing that um King's truck was there was there.
Okay. All right. I'll get back to that. And you spoke to all of these three witnesses slash victims in a house. Is that correct?
No, we was in their driveway.
Okay. Fair enough. In a driveway. Uh, how long after the shooting?
I want to say it wasn't that long after. Is they went around the block and called the police, and that's when we responded.
Okay. When you interviewed them, you said it's on body cam. Were they separated and given individual statements, or did you speak to all of them together?
So when I first got on scene, I was speaking to Javian because I was trying to figure out if that injury he had was from the bullets, but he advised us from the glass. And then I went to this the incident location, which is the intersection down the road. Another officer spoke with him. Then I came back and I separated all my other officer did the same thing, but then I came back and I separated all three of them to get their statements as well.
And was gunshot residue tests were gunshot residue tests done on any of these three witnesses or Bobby?
Gunshot residue test was done on all 3 victims.
What about Bobby?
No.
Okay. Um, you said you got the history of what this might be about from Javian Davis exclusively, correct?
Yes, and I got history from King because he was telling me in the car.
Understood. I want to talk to you about what Javian said. Did Javian tell you that King was dating his ex-girlfriend?
Yes, from what I can remember, yes.
Okay. Was Javian forthright with you in the fact that he had been sending threats over the last month to my client King Thurston, threatening to kill him?
No,
He didn't mention that.
no.
Um, did he tell you about how he'd been creating fake numbers and repeatedly blocked by his ex-girlfriend and King Thurston as he was continuing to harass him?
No,
Did he mention that?
no.
Okay. Now, all three of these individuals denied shooting a
Yes,
gun that day.
yes.
And they also, the females in the car, what were their relations to Mr. Davis as you understand?
If I can remember, I think it was grandma and I want to say mom or maybe mom. They were family. That's all I can know that. I know that for sure. They were family.
So
I know one of
Javion,
them. I
so
know one of them
Javion
was family.
Davis was claiming that he was driving around with his grandmother and his
He wasn't.
mother when
He
this happened?
wasn't driving. Grandmother was no one of it's either grandmother or mother, but he was not driving.
So they told you that it was grandmother, mother, and Javion in the car when this shooting happened.
If I can remember, it was either grandmother, mother, or what. I just know their family. That's all I can remember.
Who was supposedly driving?
Erica was the one driving.
And who's Erica?
Uh, can't remember if it was his grandmother or his mother, but I do know their family.
Okay. And So they denied shooting, yet we found multiple bullet holes in Mr. Thurston's car, correct?
Well, I only know of one, but that's only from reading a report. I don't know because I wasn't the officer that was there with King and made the arrest. I wasn't there because I was on scene with the victims. I only know of the victim's vehicle because I was there to see everything.
I understood, but we've been talking about hearsay throughout this hearing, so I want to know, you're aware that officers saw Mr. Thurston's car
Hmm.
and they observed, you're saying at least one bullet.
That's from what I read from the report.
Okay. But you don't deny that there could be multiple bullets.
I can't answer that.
Okay. But either way, that would be inconsistent with the story that you got from Mr. Davis and his relatives.
No, yes, I am very aware. I stated in my report that I got multiple discrepancies from their statements.
Understood, and I appreciate that. So then, you also mentioned seeing a shell casing. Well, a shell casing. Mr. Thurston, you said, acknowledged that he shot a 40 caliber in self-defense, essentially.
Yes.
Okay, and the other parties said they never shot any guns, but you found a shell casing at the scene, correct?
Not on scene. I found a shell casing on their vehicle on the back of their vehicle windshield. So the vehicle was at their house, but that's where we found it at. But that
Okay,
was
when you say
that was a different caliber than what King shot.
understood, and when you say the back of the windshield, you're talking about inside the car.
No,
Where was it?
outside of the car. So you know how SUVs have those windshields, the windshield wipers on the back?
Yes.
The shell casing it was in between the car and the windshield wiper. So it's like it kind of went over the car and landed there.
Okay. And this 9mm shell casing that was found, it matched at least the caliber of a magazine that you found.
That was found on scene, yes.
And we say on scene, where was the magazine
Okay,
found?
so the on scene is the intersection of Winding Way Lane and I can't remember the cross street, but it was down the road from the victim's home. So the incident didn't happen at the victim's home, it happened at the intersection down the road. The magazine was found on scene at the intersect where the shooting happened. That's where the magazine was found.
Okay, the magazine's found. Okay, gotcha. And the magazine happens to match a gun that Erica eventually presents to you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you search the inside of what kind of car was Javion Davis in?
Kia Sportage.
Okay. Did you search the inside of the Kia Sportage?
For other shell
Shell
casings?
casings.
Yes.
Yes.
We didn't find any other shell casings in
Okay.
it.
Fair enough.
And CSI checked too, they didn't find any.
Did CSI test the inside of that car for gunshot residue as far as you understand?
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Fair enough. You said there was no ring cameras located. Were there any street cameras?
Okay, no. So the only ring camera footage we have was from the victims the day prior, proving that King was there with his truck, but this was the day before the incident happened. But down the road where the incident date, down the road where the shooting happened, there was no footage.
Was there any incident, to your knowledge, the day before? You're saying that his truck was present.
The day before, it wasn't an incident, but the day before he was at their house just honking the horn and then he just left. That's from what the victim said, and it matched the video.
Fair enough. So there was no incident. He was present honking the horn, from your understanding.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So Did you recover any at the scene, or I guess anywhere else in this investigation? Did you recover any projectiles, any bullets?
We recovered 40 well, I don't know if I can say bullets. I mean, I saw on the floor what looked like it could have been a bullet, most likely, but I can't say for sure. It could have just been something else. But I know for sure we found 40 caliber shell cases. That was the only shell cases we found where the shooting happened, and then a magazine.
The 9mm.
Yes.
Okay. And so when you said you thought there might have been a bullet on the floor, but you weren't certain, when you say on the floor, what are you referring to?
On the street, in the middle where the shooting happened, it looked like could have been a bullet, but it could have been. I can't say for sure. So
Okay. And do you have an opinion about what caliber that, if it was a bullet, what that would have been?
no, I
Okay,
would not
fair
be
enough.
able to determine that.
Fair enough. Um, there's a lady, were you able to determine, and did you say, and I'm sorry, I don't recall your answer. Did you say Mr. Davis told you about the fact that my client is dating his ex-girlfriend?
I believe he did.
Did he give a name for that young lady?
No.
Okay, so to your knowledge, has anyone talked to her about what's been going on leading up to this incident?
Wait,
my knowledge-
counsel, hold on 1 minute. Deputy, why does Mr. Thurston have a cup to his mouth? All right, go ahead.
Can you ask the question again?
So, a young lady named Camilla Doris.
Doesn't ring a
To
bell.
to your knowledge, has anyone spoken to her about what's led up to this incident?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay, so you're not aware of the threats that have been made against Miss Doris
No.
by
Your
Mr.
Honor, I'm
Davis?
going to object at this time. For the purposes of a probable cause hearing, threats made to a party who was not involved on the date of this incident are not relevant.
All right, I would allow it. Go ahead, but don't stay too long on this one. Go ahead. I'm
Well,
gonna give you some leeway.
Understood, Your Honor. I mean, so to your knowledge, no one spoke to Miss Doris.
Well, I can't say to my knowledge, no one spoke to Ms. Doris. I'm not speaking on it. All I know is I didn't speak to her because I was not there.
Right. Okay. That's what I meant by to your knowledge. So you don't know if anyone's spoken to her. Okay. Mr. Davis's cell phone, was that ever collected to see what he's been doing with his cell phone leading up to this?
I don't remember collecting the cell. I don't think we didn't collect the cell phone.
Okay.
We only had Mr. Davis and the victim side of the story. King
Right.
was not there to give his side of the story. I only got a small piece of his story from when I was transporting him, and he was just telling me stuff in the car.
So Mr. Davis didn't tell you about the text message he sent to Miss Doris saying, "Tell your boyfriend I'm going to kill him."
No,
That he'd be watching from behind the home across the street, waiting to kill him.
no,
Okay. He never told you about reaching out after being blocked by Mr. Thurston, that texting "where you at, let's meet up and die."
Your Honor, I don't know if defense counsel is testifying on behalf of his client, but at this point in time, I'm going to object for nothing else for relevance.
Yes, I'm gonna agree. Attorney Swear, you're not asking questions at this point. At least not allowing him to answer.
Very well, Your Honor. Have we gotten the gunshot residue results back?
not that I haven't got anything back.
There's damage to a home that you mentioned.
Yes.
What caliber projectile created that hole in the window? Do you know?
I don't know the excuse me. I don't know the caliber projectile because I couldn't find the bullet. I can't speak on I didn't know of a bullet that was found, but I do know that the bullet damaged the window. It was just hard to find it.
So we don't know if it was a 45, or excuse me, a 40 caliber or a 9
No,
millimeter.
okay, so from the scene where the 40 from the bullets that King shot, we know that it was him that did it because from where he said from when he told me he was firing in the direction he went, it was his bullets that struck the window.
Well, to be fair, we know that, well, there's strong evidence to suggest that other bullets were fired as well, correct?
I can only say for sure only one other bullet was fired, only because I found only one shell case. I found multiple shell casings for King.
Okay, but you're not aware of the multiple bullet holes in Mr. Thurston's car.
No. So I can
Okay.
only speak on one bullet.
So you don't really know whatever damaged Mr. Thurston's car, you don't know what direction those bullets came from because no one's
I mean,
admitted to shooting
I can
those
say
bullets.
I wouldn't say I know. I don't know for sure if his car got received any damage besides reading the supplemental that I only seen one.
Well, one bullet hole.
Hmm.
Okay.
Bring in our legal analyst guest and see what she thinks might be happening at this time. Right now, and turn in oh, good morning. The defense counsel.
Okay. I don't think I have any further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Right, redirect.
I have no redirect at this time, just argument.
All right, closing arguments, ADA Thomas.
I reserve.
All right, go ahead and turn the floor.
Honor, with all due respect, this is a preposterous case. My client's, I understand that Officer Paul wasn't there, but hearsay is allowed. He's testified that officers that went to find Mr. Thurston observed his car. There were bullet holes in it. I submit to you that there were bullet holes, but the testimony is that there's at least one bullet hole in the car. The alleged occupants of the quote unquote victim car, I don't find a lot of credibility in the idea that Mr. Davis was with his grandmother and mother. Those individuals, I submit that there's strong evidence, I would say damning evidence, that those individuals were not being truthful with the officer. I think that's clear. I don't think that they were being clear with who was in the car. And Mr. Thurston, it appears, in a spontaneous utterance, is the only one that's provided any insight in this case that has any ounce of credibility, and he acknowledged shooting in self-defense and told the officer that, and it squares away with the physical evidence in this case, which is that there's a shell casing that's jammed in between the windshield wiper and the rear windshield of a car. I would submit to you that the inference is that the rest of the shell casings were cleaned up from the inside of the car when they arrived home, but they clearly missed this one, thankfully.
Your Honor, I would object that to the attorney's characterization or testimony regarding some type of cleanup or cover up or whatever it is he was trying to say, because none of that came in during the officer's testimony. All we know is that the officer found an additional bullet on that windshield of an SUV. There was no testimony as to the whereabouts or anything else.
This is my argument, Your Honor. I'm allowed to argue inferences.
There was no inference.
Okay.
Overruled. Go ahead, turn the floor.
So I think that is an inference that can easily be drawn. People weren't truthful, and there's a reason they weren't truthful. There's a history here, and this is strong evidence of self-defense. I'm going to ask that you find no probable cause on the aggravated assault charges. The criminal damage charges, again, we have individuals claiming that no gun was fired, which is contradicted by the physical evidence. We don't know the criminal damage, what projectile caused the criminal damage. Certainly, if an individual is acting in self-defense, regardless of who shot the projectile, that would be a defense to criminal damage. Ironically, one of the allegations of criminal damage is to the car, where I believe that there's strong evidence to make the inference that the original shots were coming from. So I don't believe that there's probable cause in this case for the aggravated assaults or the criminal damage or the discharging of firearm, which is justified under our self-defense statute. So I'm going to ask Your Honor to dismiss those charges, all except for the tampering with evidence, I guess, because I do believe that there's probable cause for that at this point, even though I don't believe there's probable cause for a crime. There certainly was an investigation, and we acknowledge that. So that's my argument about probable cause.
All righty, go ahead, ADA Thomas.
Your Honor, this wasn't the most polished presentation. However, what we do know from the officer's testimony is this. This young man brought himself to this area. He does not live there. He has no relationship with the parties that he ended up interacting with. There was a shootout on the street, during which time a vehicle occupied by 3 victims was shot up. The damage was extensive, as evidence was provided, as testimony was provided by the officer after his conversation with the owner of the car, who fortunately was not actually in it when it was shot up. There was also testimony from the officer regarding the homeowner, who was the inadvertent victim of the shootout, or I should say drive-by shooting, when her home was damaged, and she fortunately was not harmed, but she could have been. Your Honor, there was also testimony from the officer regarding this defendant admitting that he was there, admitting that he fired a weapon and shot up the home and the vehicle, and then acknowledging that he had disposed.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. That's a mischaracterization of the evidence. He didn't admit to shooting.
It was a direct
may I finish? May I finish? May I finish?
Thomas, let him do his objection. Go ahead. And then I'll let you respond.
It's a mischaracterization of evidence. He did not admit to shooting anything up. He admitted to firing in self-defense after being fired upon.
Your Honor, may I be allowed to respond?
Sorry?
May I be allowed to respond?
Yes, please.
And when he was firing, and what he alleges is self-defense, he struck a vehicle, damaging the windows, damaging the body of the car, and also causing a bullet to go into the home, at least one, possibly more, to go into the home of the victim, who had absolutely nothing to do with this matter. Your Honor, regarding the charges, that puts us at the 3 aggravated assaults. He acknowledged having a weapon, which he disposed of, which is a tampering with evidence. I'm trying to go down the calendar, Your Honor, to make sure everything's done. He acknowledged firing a weapon on the street, as I asked the officer, just to be sure all this happened not inside of a house, not at a park. This happened on the city street. And he also acknowledged damaging. The officer was able to make a determination that the damage to the vehicle was over $6,000, and that the damage to the home was in excess of $500. State will contend that at this point that there's sufficient probable cause to transfer this case in its entirety to the Superior Court of Clayton County.
All right. So I think you said it best, ADA Thomas. Well, not best. You made a light comment that the presentation of this case, I am actually very disturbed by the presentation of this case and the investigation of this case. But there's nothing more concerning to me than young men shooting at each other. But it looks like and sounds like that's what we have, endangering other people's lives. So although I'm hesitantly minding this case over because the presentation and the investigation, I do find that there is sufficient probable cause, this is a low threshold. I do find that there's sufficient probable cause to bind all the charges over to the Superior Court of Clayton County. But I caution you, Officer Paul, the next time you come to court, I need you to be prepared. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's the order of the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
And if Miss Thomas Stanley is present, I didn't receive notice today, and I know we're scheduled for a bond hearing on Friday. I received notice. I'm sorry, I was having very great difficulty getting the Zoom information, and I'm not showing up on the calendar, even though I filed into the case. So I'm just trying to figure out how I can make sure I get that Zoom information for Friday for the bond hearing.
It'll be the same Zoom,
Same numbers and everything?
same everything.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And so, and Attorney Sweat, you know that even prior to Friday, you can reach out to ADA Thomas and try to get something worked out prior to Friday.
I got the link. I'm the one that gave him the link for this morning, Your Honor, but if this link is still good, he should still be able to access it through the email that I sent him. It's gonna be the same one?
Same one.
Okay. He has it.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you, Judge. Take care.
All right, who do we have next?
Your Honor, I've got 3 left. I'm not sure how the court wants to do it, but I would like to get Major Norwood out.
Okay, well, let's do Norwood, which is who?
That would be Lamonta Thomas. And Your Honor, while they're pulling Lamonta Thomas, I have an announcement on one of them. That would be Hunter Chandler. That officer is in training, so state would be asking for a continuance on that one. That's one of Mr. Lewis's cases.
Hang on just a minute, please, Judge.
Okay, hold on one second. Is this the first?
Who is this we're talking about, Judge?
Hunter
Chandler?
Chandler.
Attorney, yeah.
Thank you, Judge. To answer your question, no, ma'am, it's not the first time. It was continued on 4/16 from to today's date, Judge.
Yeah. And I believe on that date, the officer was on annual leave.
Okay. I've got nothing else to say on that, Judge, other than we asked the court to dismiss this matter. This is a warrantless arrest, Judge, involving the charges of window tint violation, VGCSA, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, drug-related objects being a pipe, and theft by receiving I'm assuming the same firearm. That's all I see in the warrantless arrest affidavit.
If I could just for clarification, because I think I missed it. When is the court's hard cutoff?
11. It's 11. That's why I was kind of curious.
Because I've got 2 more ready to go after this one. I actually have 3 that are ready with officers that are logged on. This last officer, I can try to call him back and make him log on. But if we're not going to get to him, it's kind of.
So Chandler, I'm going to continue to 528.
Thank you.
Then who do you have ready now?
Right now should be Major Norwood's case, which is going to be Lamonta Thomas. After that, it should be Officer Spragley's case, which is Ronald Baker.
Okay.
And the last one is going to be Zachary Jones, which is Officer Williams' case. And they're all logged on.
So here's my question, Judge. I'm looking at this clock here. And this clock says 10:35. I think it might be out by 3 minutes. And you got a hard cutoff at 11 o'clock.
Well, I'm not saying hard. I do need to. It needs to be. I'm going to see how far we can get. If anybody wants to volunteer and continue a case, that's fine.
No, my question is, does Madam Prosecutor think she can get done with this case by 11, or does she have some other ones that she can get done? Because this looks like it's the most serious case.
Oh,
I don't care which one we do first.
I see
Right.
what you're saying. Okay. All right. So what's the other case you have? You said,
Your Honor, I understand where Mr. Lewis is coming from. Major Norwood's case would take the longest. Officer Spragley's case should be fairly short.
who?
And
One is that?
ma'am,
Which defendant is that?
that should be Ronald Baker.
Okay, let's do Baker.
And Officer Williams' case, it should be fairly short, Your Honor. And that's gonna be Officer Williams.
So now that we got that answer, Judge, from her, since we have the major on here, and does the court want to continue the case involving the major?
And that's Thomas.
Yes, Judge. And
Yes,
it is
let's continue. Yes, let's continue that.
All right, 528, ma'am.
Yes.
Hold on, let me check with him. Major Norwood, have you been keeping up with us? Need you to turn you on.
You see him? Do you see him?
Yes, ma'am, I see him. He just had to turn his audio on. He's laughing now.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
We can't hear you, Major. You still.
Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm aware.
Will the 28th work for you? That's the week of Memorial Day. So will you be on vacation or will you be available? I think it's
I believe that I will be available.
Okay.
Thank you, Major.
That is a Wednesday.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. That will be fine. I'll mark that on my calendar.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Major.
Thank you, Major.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll log off.
And Yante, if you could put that as the court's request for the continuance. All right, so Deputy, can we get Baker? Ronald Baker?
Officer Spragley, I need you to turn on your audio and your video. Have you been listening to what's been going on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Let me make sure we're still live on YouTube, and we are. All right, now calling the matter of State of Georgia versus Ronald Baker, charged in warrant numbers 2025 WA 73649, 2025 WA 73650, public drunk. 73649 is obstruction of an officer. 2025 WA 73651 is disorderly conduct. 2025 WA 73652, terroristic threats. And 2025 WA 73653, obstruction of an officer. Representing the state is ADA Thomas. Representing the defendant is Attorney Lewis. Your witness, ADA Thomas.
Also, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you should give before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Put your hand down, state your name for the record,
Officer Spragley.
and how you employed, officer.
I'm employed with the Clayton County Police Department.
And were you so employed on or about the 15th of March, 2025?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have occasion to respond to an incident at 905 Silverwood Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that within the confines of the city of College Park, Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
And what brought you to that location?
I got dispatched to a disturbance call at the location.
And during the course of your investigation at that location, did you come into contact with a Ronald Baker?
Not initially, no, ma'am.
Okay, what happened?
I went to the location and I met with the victim named Corey Thompson. He doesn't live at the location. It's one of his friend's residence. He advised me that he was walking on Wynwood Road to the residence. And as he was walking on the street, he saw Mr. Ronald Baker in the driveway sitting on a chair with a firearm in his hand and also drinking. The victim advised me as he was walking, Mr. Ronald Baker had mentioned that he was a little boy and that he was a grown man. The victim paid him no mind whatsoever, continued walking. as the victim, Corey Thompson, stated as he continued walking, that's when Mr. Ronald Baker left from the driveway and walked up behind him and said that if he has a gun, don't up it, and that he will shoot him. The victim advised that he never pointed the firearm at him during this time, but the victim,
Let me stop you right here. When you say he, who never pointed a weapon at him?
Mr. Ronald Baker.
Okay, but did Mr. Ronald Baker have a weapon?
Yes.
And do these people know each other?
No, they do not.
So a total stranger, the victim is just walking down the street?
Yes, and the victim stated that he was highly intoxicated. He had a beer can in his hand. Mr. Ronald Baker.
So he has a gun and a beer can?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what happened next?
The victim, Corey Thompson, continued walking. That's when Mr. Ronald Baker continued walking behind him, say he was going to shoot him multiple times over and over again. Mr. Corey Thompson managed to go to the residence where he then called 911.
Whose residence?
His friend's residence.
And he called the police from there?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, and you're the one who responded?
Yes, ma'am.
When you arrived, was the defendant there?
No, he was not.
How were you able to locate the defendant, or were you able to locate him?
Yes, ma'am. As I was talking to Corey Thompson, he advised me he didn't know the address initially. Mr. Corey Thompson advised me that he can show me where he last saw Mr. Ronald Baker. As we were walking up towards the road, he saw Mr. Ronald Baker walking down the street, again, beer can in his hand, stumbling, and the victim, Corey Thompson, told me that was him.
And you saw him walking with the beer hand stumbling down the street?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see a weapon?
No, not at the time. Until I got into my patrol vehicle, I managed to go ahead, try to make contact with Mr. Ronald Baker. As I got out of my patrol vehicle, Mr. Ronald Baker then proceeded to reach into his pocket where I did see the pistol grip of the firearm. At that time, I unholstered my weapon. I told him multiple times to stop reaching with, I know I saw a pistol grip in his pocket. Mr. Ronald Baker did not listen. He continued to keep reaching for his pocket, where he then turned away with his hand still in his pocket. At this time, my firearm is unholstered. I'm aiming my firearm at him. I'm advising him to show me his hands, let go, stop putting his hands in his pocket. Mr. Ronald Baker kept walking away from me, and another officer came to the location.
Let me stop you right here, right quick. Who was that other officer? Do you know his last name?
Officer Grooms.
Okay, so it's you and Officer Grooms out there dealing with Mr. Baker?
Initially, it was me first, but due to my radio traffic, Mr. Officer Grooms then arrived eventually. And that's when Officer Grooms put Mr. Ronald Baker at gunpoint, where that's when Mr. Ronald Baker then stopped, took his hands out of his pocket, and put his hands up.
Now, did Mr. Baker say anything to you all while all this is going on?
No.
Did he ever use profane language toward you or Officer Grooms?
So after he put his hands up, we got him on the ground. He started resisting arrest from both of officers, me and Officer Grooms. He was stiffening up his muscles, refusing to put his hands behind his back. We had to force his hands behind his back to where we then handcuffed him. I put him in my patrol vehicle. During this time, he was using profane language, F word. He was using also vulgar language as to suck his genitalia during this time, which caused for neighbors outside the residence to come and look, and kids also witnessing it.
So all these people are outside listening to all of this?
Yes, he was screaming outside of the patrol vehicle.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, did he ever say anything to either one of you that may have put you in fear?
He threatened to fight us. A lot of the whole officers with the shift during this time due to a possibility of a gun being drawn and shots being fired. He threatened violence towards officers, threatened violence towards me. I read him Miranda to get his side of the story. As I was reading him Miranda, he's yelling F me, F you the whole time.
Did he ever threaten to kill you or otherwise harm you?
No, but the threat was he knew I was a police officer. He saw me get out of my patrol vehicle. I asked to speak with him. He reached in his pocket, which was a loaded firearm. During this time of his arrest, We did handcuff him. I searched him, and I did find a loaded firearm. It was a high point firearm, black and colored, the same one that the victim, Corey Thompson, described.
So he never physically threatened you?
No, but as he saw me walk up, he saw
Objection, Judge. Narrative. I got his in.
Overruled. Go ahead.
As you walked up, what happened?
I announced myself. He saw my uniform, my police vehicle. I had Clayton County Police. As soon as he saw me, he reached into his pocket where the firearm was at.
Okay. And he did threaten the victim?
Yes.
And that's when he had the gun in hand? From when
Yes.
the victim was told? Okay.
And it was the same gun that the victim described.
Were you able to make a determination as to whether or not he was in fact under the influence of alcohol?
Yes. So during his time of rest, I knocked the beer can out of his hands, and that's when we were struggling to put him into handcuffs, and he had a very, very strong order of alcoholic beverage.
And I believe that's all I have at this time. Reserve right for redirect.
All righty. Boss?
Thank you. Good morning, officer. How are you today, man?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm alive. I'm well. So it's a good thing. Let me start by addressing your first encounter with the person that you arrested. Is he in the road or is he on the sidewalk?
Can you repeat yourself again, sir?
Yes, sir. When you first encountered the person that you arrested, is he on the road or is he on the sidewalk?
He was on the roadway.
He was in the roadway. Does that road have sidewalks?
They do.
They do. All right. And then secondly, does he ever pull that firearm out of his pocket?
No.
Mm-hmm. And when he observed you, he puts his hand down on the grip of that firearm?
Yes.
All right. But he does not pull it from his pocket, correct?
No.
And he turns away from you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, I heard you say that grooms came on scene in response to your radio traffic. Is that right?
Yes.
And grooms, is he positioned in the same place where you are, or are you all overlapping?
We're overlapping.
All right, good. And when grooms has his firearm pointed at the defendant, does the defendant respond?
No, he then stops and takes his hands out of his pocket, which he was gripping the firearm, and puts his hands up.
Okay. So he's got his hands out of his pocket now, but he still have the firearm in his hand.
He didn't have the firearm in his hands. He was gripping it inside of his pocket.
Oh, I see.
The grooms came on scene and had him at gunpoint too as well. That's
all
when
right.
They go with the firearm and put his
I got it. So once grooms has his gun pointed at him, he releases the butt of the firearm, correct?
Yes.
And his hands, the person you detain, then has his hands in the air. Is that correct?
Yes.
How far is grooms away from this man?
If I can guess and estimate, maybe 20 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Very close.
How far are you away from him?
I'm about, I would say, maybe one and a half houses down.
You're 1.5 houses down?
So the apartment residence is like townhouses, so they're connected.
Okay, I got you. So should I say, and I don't know anything about that area right there that you're in. Is that like more than 50 feet away?
Give or take, it's very close. Yes,
they're tight.
Close enough where I can see an actual pistol grip in his pocket.
Right. But the distance is about 50 feet away.
Estimate, give or take, yes.
Okay, cool. All right, now, as far as your arrival on scene and encounter with the defendant, and only your arrival and encounter, the profanity does not begin until after you guys have him on the ground?
Yes, after we have him on the ground, he's in handcuffs. That's when.
Okay, cool. And I heard you to say that you knocked the beer can from his hand. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and the beer can, did it have beer in it?
Yes.
All right, how full?
I'm not gonna lie, I can't really tell because during this time I was more concerned about the safety.
Sounds reasonable to me. I heard you to say he smelled of alcohol. Is that correct?
Yes.
alcohol coming from his breath or is coming from his body?
Body.
All right, cool. And then last question I got for you. Well, that's I just lied. Let me retract that. It's not the last question. Does he have any other issues from your observations other than intoxication?
I'm not sure of his mental state, but he was very under the influence of alcohol and very intoxicated.
Who transported him?
Officer Grooms. I took the weapon and all of his belongings to our evidence locker at our headquarters building.
Did Grooms tell you anything about his behavior, conduct during transport?
No, he didn't, sir.
All right. You have body cam on and operable?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you marked that and preserved it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let me go back to the incident that you're being told by the person who calls you. I believe you said his name was Thompson. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thompson said that the individual was highly intoxicated, correct?
Yes.
How did Thompson say he arrived at that conclusion?
As he was walking down the street, he saw the beer can in his hand and a firearm. As he was walking, he was already saying, "You're a grown man," being aggressive towards him.
Wait a minute. Who's saying that?
Mr. Ronald Baker.
Okay, Baker is saying to Thompson, "You're a grown man."
He's a little boy, and that Ronald Baker's a grown man.
Oh, I got it.
They don't know each other whatsoever. Corey Thompson stated multiple times, "I don't know him. I don't know what was his problem." He's walking towards him on the roadway with the firearm and a beer can in his hand, making threats to shoot him. Even Corey Thompson told me he smelled of alcohol.
He smelled of alcohol. So, all right, cool. But other than that, Corey Thompson said Corey Thompson did not tell you whether there was prior conversation or prior encounters on the same day or a prior day between the two individuals. Is that right?
Yeah, Corey Thompson just told me that he doesn't know him and he was just walking to his friend's house. And this is the first time he interacted with Mr. Ronald Baker.
So he had nothing to say to Ronald Baker beforehand, correct?
No, sir.
And you asked him this, or did he just not volunteer that?
I asked him.
Okay. All right. And just out of the blue, Ronald Baker started talking to him and making threats or insults. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did Corey Thompson say that there were any other individuals out there?
I'm not sure. I can't remember, sir.
I got you. Did you observe or secure any video or audio record from any other source other than your own body cam?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. And then last but not least, the firearm that you took from the pocket of Baker, did that firearm, I heard you say it was loaded. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did it have one in the pipe?
Yes, sir.
All right. And did you test that at all to see if it had been discharged?
No, sir. I took the firearm straight to our evidence locker.
All right. Thank you.
All right, any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, closing arguments? Attorney Lewis?
Let me look at this, Judge, for a second, please.
All righty.
All right, thank you, Judge. With respect to the charges, I'm looking at a total of, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking at a total of 5 charges here. 2 obstruction charges, Judge, and I am we're looking at a terroristic threats charge, a disorderly conduct charge, and a public drunk charge. While I would submit to you, Judge, that there is cause for an open container of alcohol, which I believe is a county ordinance violation, I would submit to you that there's not cause for a public drunk case here. The officer smells the odor of alcohol coming from the body, not from the breath. And the officer does not know if there is some other mental behavior going on. So I don't think we can arrive at the conclusion that he is drunk. The Corey Thompson said that he didn't have any prior encounters with him, and he is drawing the conclusion that he's drunk because of the erratic behavior and the presence of a beer can, but not that he actually has observed this man get drunk or anything else. So I would submit to you that open container alcohol under the county ordinance might be more appropriate rather than the public drunk. With respect to the disorderly conduct, Judge, I'm gonna skip that you got enough on that. Terroristic threats as well. With respect to the obstruction, Judge, I'm going to submit that you don't on either count. We got two cops here involved. This young man that's before us today, who is approximately 50 feet away from the defendant, he gives him an instruction. The defendant sees him, sure enough, but we don't know if the defendant hears the instruction at all. The defendant, according to the officer, turns away and walks away with his hand upon the grip of a firearm that is in his pocket. Officer Grooms is the next person that comes on scene, and Officer Grooms is 20 feet away and perpendicular to where this officer is. Officer Grooms gives the individual instruction, and he complies 100%. And so I don't believe that we have an obstruction. If we take the obstruction standpoint at the point that he has been forced to the ground by one or both officers, and I believe it's this officer that's actually doing the takedown, and he's resistant to getting the handcuffs placed on him, then those handcuffs are being put on him by one cop. They're not being put on him by both cops. And so it depends upon where you look at this matter as to whether there's any PC on either obstruction charge or there's only PC on one of them. But there's certainly not PC on both. And so I'd ask the court to dismiss both obstruction charges for the reasons that I've stated. Dismiss the public drunk charge as well, Judge. And with respect to the balance, we'll submit on that. Thanks.
All righty. ADA Thomas.
State will submit on the evidence as presented by the officer, Your Honor. I do believe the court has more than sufficient evidence to find this man was publicly drunk. And I believe the defense may have submitted on everything else.
All righty. So the only thing I did not find PC on is both obstruction charges. I only heard PC on one. So I'm dismissing 5-3, but I am binding over the remaining counts. That's the order of the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Officer,
Hey, Judge, you gave that to me by a number. That one, that 5-3 that you're looking at.
It's obstruction. So I kept one obstruction and dismissed
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. All righty. And so did we have another one?
Yes, ma'am. That should be Officer Williams' case.
Is that on Jones?
Yes, and there's Officer Thomas logged on for Officer Thomas. Oh, Mr. Lewis, we have your last one. Jade Brown.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back to that. The judge says it's not a hard stop. I'm gonna ask her the question then. Can you go on with the one you got though? Which one you got is that my prelim that you got?
No, this is Mr. Rogers' prelim. I just saw the officer still sitting there that reminded me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go for it.
Hey, Your Honor, are y'all done with Ronald Baker?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Deputy, if we could get Zachary Jones.
Officer Williams, can you turn on your audio and your video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. State's ready. And I believe this is Mr. Jones.
Mr. Zachary Jones. Alrighty. Here we go. All right, now calling the matter of State of Georgia versus Zachary Jones. Charged in warrant numbers 2025 WA 74788 dangerous drugs, 2025 WA 74789 seatbelt violation, and 2025 WA 74790 theft by receiving stolen property, 2025 WA 74791 possession of a firearm by a first offender representing the state is ADA Thomas, representing the defendant is Attorney Rogers. Your witness, ADA Thomas.
Officer Williams, can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you should give to the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And put your hand down, state your name for the record.
My name is Officer L. Williams.
How are you employed?
I'm employed with Clayton County Police Department.
And were you so employed on or about April the 5th of 2025?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And did you have occasion to investigate an incident that occurred at Godby Road at West Fayetteville Road?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that within the confines of Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And during your investigation, did you come into contact with a Zachary Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
What brought you into contact with Mr. Jones?
Well, I was patrolling the area, Sector 2. I decided to drive towards the Godby Road area, and I seen the young man at the intersection. It was a four-way intersection. Seen the young man operating the vehicle. The young man would actually be the Cameron driver. He was operating the vehicle with no seatbelt on.
Okay.
So that's what made me conduct the traffic pull-over.
So where was Mr. Jones at the time?
Mr. Jones was the front passenger.
Okay. So what happened subsequent to the traffic stop for no seatbelt?
So once I conducted the traffic stop, I activated my license sirens in my patrol vehicle. The Cameron driver, the operator, he pulled into the nearby gas station, jumped out of his car, and he attempted to put gas in his car as if he didn't hear my sirens or see my lights. I exited my vehicle. I approached the operator and I advised him that I was conducting a traffic stop. I then told him the reason for the traffic stop. He advised that he was, that the seatbelt was actually up under his arm, and that's why I couldn't see it. The young man wasn't wearing a shirt, so a black
Which young man?
The operator, Cameron driver.
Okay.
He wasn't wearing a shirt, so it'd be very clear that he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. While speaking to that young man, the defendant that we're speaking on, what is his name? I don't want to get his name.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Mr. Jones. Yes, ma'am, Mr. Jones. He jumped out of the vehicle from the passenger side and approached. He advised that he wasn't.
Okay, officer, stop. You're breaking up a little bit. The last part I heard was he jumped out the vehicle. What happened after that?
Mr. Jones jumped out of the vehicle from the passenger side and approached me and Mr. Driver speaking. Mr. Jones stated that he wasn't wearing a seatbelt and maybe I seen him instead.
What did you say then?
I advised him that we'll get to that, but I was speaking to Mr. Cameron at the time.
And what happened next?
I called for additional units due to it being 3 subjects inside the vehicle, and I was a solo officer at that time.
Okay.
Did
other units respond?
Yes, ma'am.
And in the meantime, where was Mr. Jones? What was he doing?
Mr. Jones went back to the vehicle and sat in the front passenger side.
Okay. And did you come into contact additionally with Mr. Jones?
Later during the scene, once additional officers arrived to the scene, one of the officers seen residue on the pants pocket of Mr. Jones.
When you're talking about residue of what?
It was a green leafy substance suspected to be marijuana.
Okay. And by this time, Mr. Jones is back in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, where was the driver?
The driver was still outside of the car with me. I was checking his driver privileges using GCIC, and it came back suspended. So he was detained, placed in handcuffs and detained.
What happened with Mr. Jones?
Once the residue was seen, Mr. Jones and the rear passenger was detained, exiting the vehicle at the exact same time, placed in handcuffs and detained while a search was being conducted of the vehicle.
And what happened as a result of that search?
During the search, 2 items was 3 items was located. A pink substance was located. We couldn't determine what that was, so it was sent to the GBI to be identified. It was field tested, but the field test was inconclusive.
Now, was anything else found in the car other than whatever this mystery substance was?
Yes, ma'am. It was a firearm found inside the vehicle, and it was a whippet, it was what do they call it? Basically, a whippet is a inhalant. They use it to get like a high that's related to alcohol.
Okay. What about, were any weapons found in the car?
Yes, ma'am. It was a firearm found, a pistol firearm.
Where was that found?
It was found in the front passenger seat, front side.
Is that where Mr. Jones was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, Mr. Jones had previously admitted that he didn't have on a seatbelt, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
The firearm itself, what happened? What was going on with it? Was any investigation done regarding it?
Yes, ma'am. The serial number of the weapon was checked, was validated using GCIC, and it came back stolen.
So, do you recall where it was stolen from?
It was reported stolen from Douglasville, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And did Mr. Jones say anything? I know he acknowledged not wearing a seatbelt. Did he say anything about the weapon?
Nope. No, ma'am. He denied that the weapon was his, but he also stated that no one would claim a weapon. But he did deny that the weapon was not his. He said that he's fighting a case for having a weapon, so why would he have a weapon?
Okay. Now, but it was found at his seat, in his seat, or on beside. Where exactly was it?
It was found under his seat, but to the front of his seat.
So not where the back seat passenger could have put it?
Yes, ma'am. Not where the back seat passenger could have put it.
And I believe you made an additional charge of possession of firearm by someone with a previous history. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the basis of that?
After the young man stated that he had a charge that he was fighting due to being in possession of a weapon during the crime, I did a criminal background check on him, and he was charged with that charge and was placed on probation.
So he had actually been convicted of a weapons charge previous to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall what jurisdiction he was convicted out of?
I don't want to quote the wrong jurisdiction, but I believe it was the same as the stolen weapon, Douglasville.
Okay. Douglas County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, were you equipped with body cam or anything like that?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it active and working during your interactions with Mr. Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if it captured your interactions with Mr. Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe you mentioned that you had to wait for other officers to respond to the scene. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Were they equipped with body cam?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that operational that you know of?
Yes, ma'am.
And where is all this body cam now?
It's stored and saved through the county.
So is it attached to your report, or it's just on the PD server?
Just on the PD server.
Yeah, I believe that's all I have at the time. Reserve right to redirect.
All right, Cross?
Oh,
Attorney Rogers, we can't understand you.
How about now? Is that any better?
That's better.
Okay. All right. I was just saying, also, just a few questions. I think you kind of got at it, but I just want to make sure I have you clearly. Mr. Jones is not the driver, right?
No, sir.
The driver is driver, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As far as you know, Mr. Jones, he's not the owner of the vehicle, correct?
Mr. Jones, no, sir.
And if I understood, I think you said it was 3 people total in the vehicle, or maybe I got that impression for something, but 3 total, right?
Yes, sir.
As it relates to the gun, Mr. Jones, he's never seen an actual possession as far as like handling it or anything like that, correct?
No, sir. I didn't. No, sir.
And I'm kind of basing it on the fact that it seemed, if I understood you correctly, the gun was only uncovered after a search of the vehicle, like it wasn't laying out in plain sight when you first started dealing with them or anything.
Yes, sir. It was recovered during the search of the vehicle.
No further questions.
All right, any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Closing arguments?
I'll reserve.
Go ahead, Attorney Roger.
Thank you. Judge, I guess a couple of things I'll say about it. And hang on, I just want to make sure I got all the charges. I think my first argument is going to be as it relates to the alleged dangerous drugs charge. No substance was identified that I heard. There was the terms whippet and inhalant were used, but those aren't the names of any particular substance. So I would say that there's been no testimony that would support a finding if the alleged substance is not identified or even alleged in any way, then it's insufficiently specific to support the charge. There are, substances that are covered, but you have to identify one of them, and the names whippet and inhalant are not covered charges. So I'd ask for a dismissal as it relates to the dangerous drugs charge. With regard to the violation of the seatbelt charge, I'll submit on that one. Sounds like that, I guess Mr. Jones is alleged to have conceded that. I will now turn to the theft by receiving and the possession of firearm by a felon, or not even sure exactly what's being alleged, because I don't know that it was established that it was a felony charge. So that's one of my basis for arguing that it's not, having been established that he's either a convicted felon or a first offender probation. But putting that to the side for the moment, the bigger issue, and I think it covers both of those charges, the firearm and the theft by receiving charge, is that there's been no basis for possession alleged. As it stands right now, my understanding is that Mr. Jones is not the driver, not the owner, just a passenger in the vehicle. The only thing that's been alleged to connect him to it is that I guess it's supposed to be near him in some way. That seemed to be what they were trying to get at, is that he's the front seat passenger and the gun is under the front seat. So tag, he's it. That's not the law. The law is that there's no presumption of possession because when a person is not the owner or controlling the car, when they're just a mere passenger, there's no presumption of possession. And right now I'm reading from Mitchell v. State. This is a Georgia Supreme Court case, 268-592. In this case, they were talking about cocaine, but it's relevant for the discussion of contraband. I got a couple of other cases coming, but the fact that the cocaine in that case was found on the passenger side of the car is of no consequence. That is a direct quote from Mitchell v. State. So a finding of constructive possession of contraband cannot rest upon mere spatial proximity to the contraband, especially where, as here, the contraband is hidden. As Officer testified to, he didn't see it. It's not laying out in plain sight, the firearm. So, in this case, the contraband sounds to be hidden. But even if it wasn't, just being near it is not enough to put you in possession of it or even to support, that allegation. There's another appellate case, Hunt v. State, 358, Georgia App 897. This one, court talks about how a probationer's mere presence in the area where a prohibited item, and again, I'm reading directly, where a prohibited item is found will not justify a probation revocation based on possession of the prohibited item, even under the more relaxed preponderance of the evidence standard. In other words, there must be something more than mere spatial proximity linking a probationer to the prohibited item. The court goes on to say that nothing other than spatial proximity linked Hunt to the gun concealed under the front seat of Green's car. As a passenger in the vehicle, his presence alone cannot establish possession. And I can go on, because I got another case lined up, same idea. It's Wofford v. State. Again, just to get to the point of it, The arresting officers stated they did not see Wofford bend over or appear to put anything under the seat. No other circumstantial evidence linking him to the gun. Moreover, because Wofford was only a passenger in a car that he did not own or control, there is no presumption that he possessed the gun. Says under these circumstances, Judge, I would ask that the officer, number one, I guess, be put in the weight room and people try to, make comments during closing. Is what it seems to be happening. But additionally, as I was saying with Wofford, says that Wofford was only a passenger in the car that he did not own or control. There's no presumption he possessed a gun. Under these circumstances, Wofford's mere spatial proximity to the gun is insufficient to support a finding beyond a reasonable doubt that he knowingly possessed the gun. So this is just not enough evidence. And the reason I say that it covers both of the charges is because if he's not in possession of this item, obviously he can't be in possession for purposes of being a felon or whatever is alleged. And he's also not in possession for purposes of theft by receiving stolen property. You got to possess the property in the first place to be able to be charged with theft by receiving about the property. So he's not even in possession of the property. But just to address the theft by receiving part of it, we got Sharp v. State, Georgia Supreme Court case, 310 Georgia 254, 2020 case. This is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that the factual circumstances are murder, but he's also charged with theft by receiving stolen property. Although the court found a basis for the crimes of violence, the Supreme Court says that although the state produced evidence that the gun had been stolen approximately 10 months prior, and that Sharp was in possession of it shortly after the shooting, the state offered no other evidence relevant to this count. Specifically, no evidence from which a jury could infer that Sharp knew or should have known that the gun was stolen, which is required for the charge. So in that case, they reversed the conviction for theft by receiving stolen property, and they cited Doughty v. State, which is another Georgia Supreme Court case, and this is the parenthetical in Sharp. It says, because evidence shed no light on defendant's knowledge of the handgun's provenance, evidence was insufficient to enable a rational jury to find him guilty of theft by receiving stolen property. There was no circumstances, listed that would say that Mr. Jones either knew or should have known that this firearm was stolen. None at all. So for those reasons, Judge, I would ask that all of the charges except for the seatbelt be dismissed for lack of probable cause. Thank you.
Righty, ADA Thomas.
Yeah, one thing that the officer said, actually to address to the possession of dangerous drugs. The officer indicated what initially brought their attention to this gentleman who was the passenger was the fact that he had that residue on his lap, which I believe they indicated as marijuana. He later testified that they found something called, I guess the street name of it is Whippets, which is actually nitrous oxide. Excuse me, nitrous oxide.
That wasn't testified to, and now she's trying to.
He had to explain what Whippets was.
Hold on. Let him finish his objection, ADA Thomas. Go ahead.
That wasn't testified to. The officer didn't say that. He's just making statements about what things are called, but that wasn't testified to, Judge. So I would ask that.
I didn't hear that, ADA Thomas. I didn't hear him testify.
Explain what Whippets was. Now, he did not use the word nitrous oxide.
Judge, she's not allowed to testify. She's not a witness.
Your Honor, I'm responding to the court. At least I'm trying.
Go ahead and respond.
Thank you. The officer testified that it was Whippets. He did not specifically use the term nitrous oxide.
Okay, wait, you can't use that term, ADA Thomas.
And I will withdraw the term. But he did say that it was an intoxicating substance similar to alcohol, if memory serves. He also indicated that where the weapon was found, I asked him specifically, was it towards the back or towards the front? He says, no, it's towards the front. Towards the front passenger is where the weapon was located, accessible to the front passenger, not the rear passenger. He was able to verify that this weapon was in fact stolen out of Douglas County, because when we got to the part about this defendant being a convicted felon, he initially stated, yeah, I don't want to say this wrong, but I think it's from the same jurisdiction, Douglas County. So he was able to establish that this young man is a convicted felon out of Douglas County and that this weapon was stolen out of Douglas County and that this weapon was in fact within his wingspan or reach right under the seat where he was sitting. State would contend at this point the sufficient probable cause has been established to transfer the case in its entirety to the Superior Court.
I just have a question. And ADA Thomas, you can direct it to the officer if you like. So the gun was located in the front seat. Was it underneath the seat or was it just in the front seat area?
Now, Your Honor, my recollection of what he said was that it was in the front, under the seat, but in the front, that like right under the front edge of the seat. Now, I can direct the question to the officer to make sure I'm not misquoting him. Officer, is that if the court wishes?
If we get into just, volunteer our recollections of the evidence, I would also like to volunteer my recollection of the evidence.
Your Honor, I believe I responded to the court's question and that the court also asked that if I needed to.
And I'll let you respond, Attorney Rogers. Go ahead. Officer.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure who you wanted to go next.
ADA Thomas, you were asking the officer a question?
Yes, ma'am, and in response to the court's question.
Yes.
And I asked him if my recollection was incorrect. Where did you find the weapon specifically?
The weapon was on the floor up on the seat towards the front of the front seat, the front passenger seat.
So it wasn't laying on the seat?
No, it wasn't laying on the seat. It was right up on the seat.
All right, Attorney Rogers, you wanted to add something?
I think I just would also point out that what was also testified to is that it was not in plain sight and that it was uncovered during the search.
Right, that's what I was getting at. That's where I was going with that. All righty. And another question, there were how many people in the car?
Yeah, my understanding is it was three, one backseat passenger and the driver and the passenger on the front, because the officer indicated that he had to wait for backup because it was 3 and 1, the 3 being the defendants. Well, the persons in the car, I should say.
Hold on one second. All righty. So based upon the evidence presented, I am going to bind over all the charges to the Superior Court of Clayton County. That's the order of the court.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, you excused.
Thank you.
We have any, I know it's Attorney Lewis, you have one?
I have several, Judge, but I believe the manner that I can end very quickly requires me to talk to my client for just a few minutes. And I think we're already at your time threshold, so I think that's going to be the fastest thing that can be done.
Okay. And so I'm going to put you in 2.
And to the
If
jail,
would,
I need that young lady in front of that camera, Jade.
So if you would go ahead. We're done with Mr. Jones.
She's the last one I have left on my list, Your Honor. Does the court have anybody else?
Mm-hmm. Wait a minute, who was Mr. Lewis' last one?
I thought it was Jade Brown, Your Honor. I don't have anybody else open.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I was about to say, I don't have anybody else, but
That's
that was the add-on.
Lamanto
ma'am.
Thomas. Lamanto Thomas.
He continued that one.
That was Major Norwood.
Okay, so Jay did the last